Hello there, my name is Pavor Shtermo, and now we'll unveil the top news of recent days. Today, Ukraine marks the Day of Dignity and Freedom. On this day, we commemorate the Orange Revolution of 2004 and the Revolution of Dignity of 2013. Ukraine honors the memory of those who, during the Orange Revolution and the Revolution of Dignity, defended democratic values, human and civil rights and freedoms, the national interests of the state, and its European choice. The revolution began to prevent the curtailment of the course of Ukraine's European integration, continued under the flags of the EU, and became the start of a real rapprochement between Ukraine and the European community. 10 years ago on this day, people went to protest in many cities of Ukraine. The reason for the protest was the refusal of Prime Minister of Ukraine, Mykola Azarov, at the time, to sign the association agreement between Ukraine and the European Union. In 2013, Ukrainian authorities pursued a consistent policy of rapprochement with Russia, not with Western partners. How it could have ended we can see now on the example of Belarus: detention of all political opponents, compliant opposition, involvement in the war on the side of the Kremlin. Who knows, if the Ukrainian people had not protested in 2014, it would be quite likely that the Kremlin war could be not on our territory, but in some Eastern European countries of NATO. Russia's armed aggression against Ukraine was the revenge for the free choice of Ukrainians and an attempt to neutralize the victory of the Revolution of Dignity with the tragedy of war. The Kremlin thus tried to prevent Ukraine from leaving its sphere of influence. 10 years have passed since people in Kyiv took to the Maidan. The victory of the democratic revolution provided for Ukraine with decisive progress towards democracy and freedom now. Instead, Russia and Belarus slid even deeper into dictatorship and tyranny during this time.
Our people have a long way, which we have already passed. Behind me today are the flags of Ukraine and the European Union. And today we have the right to say, this is not just an adornment of the square, a decoration, a fiction. This is a real symbol of Ukraine's inseparability from Europe, the right to which the Ukrainian nation and the Ukrainian state have been proving all this time.
Recently, the European Commission has approved recommendations for opening the negotiations on Ukraine's accession to the EU. Russia is trying to compromise the word Maidan by identifying it with a riot and calling thus a subversive action against Ukraine in the conditions of war. On November 20th, the US Department of Defense announced the provision of the 51st military assistance package for Ukraine, totaling $100 million. Despite difficult internal political process, the United States as an ally is seeking opportunities to continue sustainable support for Ukraine. The new defensive package from the US will significantly enhance the firepower of the Ukrainian defense forces, as it includes 155mm and 105mm artillery shells, Javelin 84 manpads, Stinger manpads, TOW anti-tank guided missiles, in addition another HIMARS artillery missile system and additional longer-range ammunition for it are part of the assistance package. To support Ukraine on November 20th, US Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin arrived in Kyiv. He met with the President of Ukraine and Minister of Defense Rustem Umerov. They discussed an important topic concerning NATO. Ukraine chose its own path to become a member of the alliance. Therefore, NATOification is one of the main priorities of Ukraine. Productive visit of Minister Austin cancels out any efforts of our enemies to impose the opinion of US fatigue with Ukraine. On the contrary, this and future visits and meetings with our allies and partners from around the world only emphasize the power and weight of military diplomacy.
I'm here on the ground in Kyiv, where I just wrapped up a day of robust discussion with Ukraine's leaders and delivered an important message. The United States stands with Ukraine, and we're going to be with them for the long haul. This fight matters to the free world. The U.S. is always going to be on the side of democracy, and as the Ukrainians continue to show grit and strength in the face of Putin's aggression, we've rallied allies and partners to stand up to Russia and to make progress toward a brighter future, because that's what American leadership is all about. And our resolve is stronger than ever.
And today, we received another package of military aid from Germany. Defense Minister Boris Pistorius came to Kyiv and announced a package in the amount of 1.3 billion euros. It includes 4 IRIS-T systems, 20,000 of 155mm ammo, anti-tank mines and other weapons. The tomorrow and other practical issues of assistance to Ukraine will be discussed during the 17th meeting of the Defense Contact Group in the Ramstein format. So, as we can see, despite all political tensions, Ukraine receives and will receive support from our partners. For the first time in history, negotiations between Dmytro Kuleba and January Makamba, the ministers of foreign affairs of Ukraine and Tanzania, took place. Ukraine seeks to restore the close relations with African states lost in the late 1990s. This is not just intentions, but the development of a mutually beneficial partnership.
We want to rewind the relationship that we had, the relationship that we lost in the late 19th because of dwelling in our internal problems and the need to focus on our return to Europe, where we geographically, historically and culturally belong. It doesn't matter how solid your relationships are. Every single day that you have not been investing in them, you are losing them. No interruptions in relation between countries, like it is the case between people as well, because countries are essentially very similar to individuals. They have their own prejudices, principles, their own fears, ambitions and miscalculations of their ambitions. Dmytro Kuleba, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine, in address to students of the University of Pretoria.
In less than a year, the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine visited 12 African countries: Senegal, Côte d'Ivoire, Ghana, Kenya, Morocco, Ethiopia, Mozambique, Rwanda, Nigeria, Equatorial Guinea, Liberia and South Africa. Ukraine welcomes the support of African states for President Zelensky's peace formula. We are grateful to South Africa for joining efforts to return Ukrainian children forcibly removed by Russia from the temporarily occupied territories. Ukraine is a responsible partner and exporter of grain to the world markets. We want to continue to deliver on our global food security commitments by bringing food to Africa at affordable prices. Ukraine's cooperation with African countries is based on the principles of mutual respect and common interests of security and development. We can become a partner in the technological evolution for African countries because we have advanced experience in the development of the IT sector, digitalization of the economy, cybersecurity, military-industrial complex, education, and much more. That concludes our today's video. Thank you for staying with us. Subscribe to our UATV English channel for more news from Ukraine. Your support is that really matters. Goodbye.